What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Homestead. Today, Mike and I want to give you a full rundown of the Harbor Freight sawmill that we've been using for the last 4 months.
Like Liz said, this is the Harbor Freight sawmill. We've had it for about 4 months now. As a lot of you guys know, this is one of the cheaper sawmills, if not the cheapest bandsaw mill that you can buy pretty much right now. So we wanted to go over a few features of this thing. Being the cheapest one, there are some little quirks to it for sure. And let's start on that right now. So over here, you'll notice that this is a really simple system. This is just wheels running on a piece of angle iron, essentially. Some of these mills that this is kind of modeled after will actually have some wire here in the wheels to clean this off. This mill does not. So you can see down in here that the wheel does get packed up with a little bit of sawdust if you're not paying attention. It's easy to do as you're milling. The sawdust is blowing this way. It's really easy to just not see it and it happens. So I guess a guy really could put some wires on here, but it does not come with it. So moving on up from the wheels, I believe this is about 144-inch band. It's a log cut of, I think, 20 inches. Yep, 20-inch log cut here. So you can get that. A lot of the nicer sawmills have a sliding guard that goes, so if you have a narrower log, you can slide your guard up a little bit. This one does not. So there's that to it for sure, but so far it seems to work just fine for us. If we keep on moving back up and over, it's kind of like a cable system with just a rod in here that's threaded to raise and lower this thing. So you crank the handle over here to go up and down, and it essentially just pushes this rod out. We haven't had any problems with it whatsoever. I know a few guys have had some issues with the internals of this thing. Some of them are putting drills on the end of this. I don't think that's a good thing. I think it's fine just to hand crank it. It's not that bad. It's one of the cheaper sawmills anyway. We haven't had any problems with it, just doing it the way we're doing it. If we come around to this side over here, the clamp system is like quite rudimentary. It's just 2 clamps that essentially clamp around each bar on its respective side. We are having a little bit of an issue with the right hand clamp, and it's real tight to get it down. And what's happening is this piece here is actually bending a little bit. I've not contacted Harbor Freight. So what I've been doing now is I just put my hand under it to take a little bit of that down pressure off of that neck there. So that is one flaw, real big flaw that I found so far. Another thing that I really don't love is as this thing's running and vibrating and doing its thing, you have to keep your hand on the crank handle. If you don't keep your hand on this crank handle, that vibration actually rattles it off. I don't know if the mill is being held completely by these clamps, so I like to keep my hand on that handle so it doesn't rattle its way through. Just a Predator engine from Harbor Freight, 300cc. Let's go for a cold start right now. I bet it's going to start right up. This thing runs like a champ. We'll go on, choke it. Yeah, that's first pull. I mean, we have had no problems with this engine. It runs very, very well. I bet we have a total of probably 15 to 20 hours on this whole unit right now. We've had no problems with the power plant whatsoever. So that's super cool. If we go over to the drip system for the coolant on the blade, some of these nicer mills that you see on the market are going to have, a feature for when you start to push it, it's going to start dripping. I will say to get a nice, slow, constant drip with this, it does take you just a second, to move this valve here. And you can even see there how I open it up just a little and it starts going. So that is, I wouldn't call it a flaw, but it's a feature missing there. I think a guy could buy that drip system from a nicer mill aftermarket and it worked just fine. We'll just keep moving around the machine this way. We did have a subscriber mention to twist your pull start. We have not done that yet, but that is definitely on the list. Don't know why they put the pull start on the opposite side of all the controls over here, but this is just 3 bolts. You can roll your pull start over to this side so you're not walking back and forth the whole time. Their measurement system here is definitely a little funky. We have yet to use this actually I don't even know where the piece it came with is. You can see it got all hung up. Their measurements aren't even close to correct. So I think what a guy would need to do is maybe go on Amazon and get like a magnetic tape measure and just stick it to this so you have some actual measurements, and then use the piece that comes with it. We do have it. I just took it off because it kept getting hung up here. But yeah, so there is that kind of a basic throttle control here. It's almost like a little bike shifter lever, but totally works, just the base model for sure. And then we'll move this way. As you guys can see, there's like not a whole bunch of support that ties each side of the mill together. So one problem I've found is that since the handle is on this side here, while you're pushing, and this is going to be exaggerated, I'll show you guys here, but you can kind of see that the mill can start to shake a little bit, and I don't love that. So what I try to tend to do is put my hand on the gas tank here while I'm pushing. When you do that, you're pushing more from the center of the whole thing, so you don't have a bunch of pressure on one side as you're trying to mow through the log. So if you put a good amount of pressure right here while still trying to stay on the outside of the mill, it seems to work just fine. Let's see, what else is there to this thing? There's the track system. It comes with 2 rails on each side. It is recommended, I believe, in the installation to weld this and grind it smooth, if I'm not mistaken. You can see we have ground it smooth here. Still a little bit of a gap that we could fill up with a weld. You're not going to see this on some of the nicer mills. The track is going to come, you know, with no problems, no welding required for sure. You don't really see this in the cuts. It depends on how picky you are, but at the end of the day, this is still rough cut lumber, so we're super happy with it. As you can see, the log stop system is just super basic. Got a T-handle on each side with a couple post options. Just raise and lower it to whatever you need. And then you move this guy to the other side of your log, wherever you want it. Crank it in there. Super basic, but by all means works. We're totally in love with this mill. It's a very much base model, cheapest mill out there, but this is no joke, guys. Like, straight up, you can mill some lumber with this. Liz is going to show you this pile of lumber that we've been doing, and it's amazing.
While Mike mills the wood, I kind of move the wood from one spot to another. So this is our scrap pile to make the cant logs, and then as soon as the boards are ready to go, I move them over here. This is our drying pile. So we use these stickers to keep them separated so the airflow can get between them. The logs are going to dry a lot quicker that way. We try to keep them separated by type of wood, so we can just say, hey, let's go get some pine, and we know that it's in a certain pile. So these are drying here, ready to be used as shiplap boards for our house.
With the huge pile of lumber, there comes that huge pile of sawdust. And with this mill sitting on the ground, it's not like super ideal, but like we've said, this is the cheapest mill you can buy. So you do have a lot of sawdust that ends up right on the ground. And what we do is we just shovel it away and pile it up for now. We don't really know what to do with it.
Right. So if you guys, have a sawmill or have lots of leftover sawdust, let us know what you do with yours. We have read that it's pretty good for the garden, if you're going to kind of mix it in, but let us know what you guys do with your leftover sawdust. When we first got this sawmill, we just had it on the ground and we tried to shim it up to kind of keep it level, but we've noticed that having the concrete slab is going to be key if this thing is sitting on the ground in order to keep it level. So we've really been enjoying our nice concrete slab. It makes a huge difference in the waviness of the boards.
One of the final things that I can think of that is a big flaw to this machine is the blade that it comes with. That Harbor Freight band is pretty much junk. We didn't get hardly 2 logs out of it before the band was totally shot. You do have to find aftermarket bands for this. The size is going to be just a little bit different, so you do have to do some realigning to get these wheels spinning perfectly aligned to each other, but that's kind of the price you pay with having the cheapest mill out there. We obviously probably didn't hit everything, so if you guys have any comments or questions, please leave them down below, or if you're even considering getting this mill, if you have questions, or if you have this mill, please comment down below on what you found about it.
We do hope that you found this video helpful. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps to get this video out there to reach more people. If anybody else has any other questions or comments. Thanks for watching.
See ya.